So a few weeks ago I bought this old 1987 Chevy G20 camper van, and I've been spending the time since I picked it up doing some mechanical maintenance things, giving it a little bit of a tune-up and making it so that I'd be comfortable taking it out for my first adventure and spending my first night out in the van camping. So the first problem I wanted to take care of was the lack of heat. The van wasn't fully coming up to temperature, and therefore the heat was kind of blowing just mildly warm. So my first suspicion was that the thermostat needed to be replaced, so I went ahead and drained some coolant, and that turned out to be pretty disgusting. Drained out all the coolant, which you can see here is kind of gross. So after draining the coolant and seeing the state of it, I decided to go ahead and do a full coolant flush and replace the thermostat, which was originally what I went in there to do in the first place. So it took me about 2 days and 8 flushes later to get the coolant running out nice and clean and get the old gunk out. So after it was coming out clean, I went ahead and put the new thermostat in, and it turned out that the thermostat that was in there was actually a high performance thermostat, which is meant for like race cars and engines that are running really hard all the time. So either it was stuck open or it was just letting too much coolant through and not giving the engine a chance to warm up. So after doing all that, I got the heat working great, and I was super excited because it was just one step closer to getting out on the road. The next thing I wanted to do was to take the bed frame that I'm sitting on right now. It was actually facing kind of sideways and long ways, and I did some measuring and planning and just figured out that I could actually make the bed fit horizontally and basically fit about a queen size mattress on here with a little bit of length cut off. So I pulled the bed frame out and kind of disassembled it and just rearranged it and cut it and trim it to make it fit into the very back of the van. And what that did was give me a whole lot more space between the front seats and the very back to have kind of a living area. The other thing the bed platform gave me was plenty of storage underneath. It already had hinges and lids on it, so I just had to trim those to size and put them on there. And then I actually extended the length of the bed platform to the very back doors. So what I ended up with was a section right underneath the front portion of the bed and an area in the back portion of the bed that's accessible from the back doors that I kind of use as my garage space. So I placed a huge order on Amazon that included some convenience items, some nice camping things, and a lot more replacement parts and tune-up things. But I was really eager to get the van out and test it. So Remy and I threw all my stuff out of my Subaru into the van and hit the road for our first trip. So I was super happy. We were listening to music. I had all my stuff in the van. We were about 2 miles from the spot where I wanted to camp that first time, and it all went wrong. Well, the van just died. Very strange. I was just driving, and then suddenly it felt like I lost gears. Smelled something hot. Check engine light pulled off to the side of the road. Put it in park. Put it in drive, and it stalled out, and now it doesn't want to stay running. Well, I guess I'm going to pop the doghouse off and see if there's anything obviously wrong. It's very strange. It was like it just suddenly lost power. Man, and just turning it over, it stinks. It smells like hot rubber or something. So I'm going to... I don't know. Well, worst case, I do have AAA. Okay. So, and a nice gentleman stopped to kind of give me a hand with a couple things and bounce ideas. And I ended up replacing, checking for fuel, and it definitely was squirting fuel into the throttle body. I pulled one of the spark plugs, and I was getting kind of an intermittent spark, and it wasn't a very nice looking spark. So I had my new cap and rotor in a box in the back that I hadn't replaced yet. So I figured, what the hell, I might as well pull it off and see how they look, put it on, and put the new ones on. So I did that, and it fired right up. And it's going into gear, forward and backward. I think what I'm gonna do now is turn around, go back into bend, and maybe just drive the Subaru over the mountain until I can get this really figured out. So I'm super grateful that a nice gentleman stopped, and we were kind of bouncing ideas off of each other, and neither of us had good enough cell service to be Googling things, so he was making phone calls and asking friends to Google things. And so he hung out for like 45 minutes, maybe even an hour, of just handing me tools and bouncing ideas, and we finally got the van running again, and I just drove it back. About a week later, all of my tune-up parts that I had ordered on Amazon arrived, so I decided it's time to just get all that boring crap done. And after asking around on some of the Chevy van groups, most of the people suggested that the issue I had was with the ignition control module. I asked around on a Chevy van Facebook group, and the answer kind of unanimously came back to the ignition control module on the distributor. So I ordered a new one of those. I had a new cap and rotor that I put in on the side of the road, plugs, wires, temperature sensors. It's just a couple other things that the van needed elsewhere. So I spent a whole day putting new ignition components in it and other little sensors and other little things it needed. And I was shocked at how quick it actually fired up the first time. The coil in. Okay. It's connected, that's connected. Spark plugs are all connected. I suppose time to just turn the key and see if it fires up. Let's see what happens. Well, it actually fired up faster than it ever has before after just sitting, so I'll take that as a good sign. So after taking it for a quick drive around the block and letting the engine warm up and feeling how good it was running, there was just a few other things I wanted to test. I wanted to test driving it from a cold because it did have a couple little hesitation and stumbling issues as it was warming up, and I wanted to see if those were resolved too. And then tomorrow, try and make our way back to that campsite that we failed to get to last time. So this is my first test drive, so it's still warming up as we speak. What I'm really wanting to see is if it still has this little hesitation. Every once in a while from a stop, it would kind of like stutter and stumble taking off. And so, but usually that would kind of resolve itself once it warmed up. So what I'm doing now is just going for a drive, see if it does any more of that stumbling and hiccuping. One of the things I noticed immediately is that it seems a lot less rumbly when I come to a stop in gear. It used to kind of underload, so when in drive, when you come to a stop with the brakes on, it almost felt like it had cams or something. It would kind of, and it hasn't been doing that. So I'm going to drive it a little bit, let it warm up, see if that hesitation comes back, and yeah, see how it goes. So perfect. We're at a stoplight. We'll see if it kind of hesitates. Running way smoother when I come to a stop. It used to be kind of choke. Like I said, almost like it had cams, and it's, I mean, you can probably hear that rattle. That's just old van noises. No hiccup. Engine feels a little bit more responsive. Let's give it a boot. Ah, there's the kick down. Alright. Alright, well that's happier. Once it kicks down, it can move a little bit better. Just have to give it a little bit more foot. No hesitation again. It's feeling good. It's feeling really good. I'm pleased for it. So I'm gonna go ahead and find a spot to turn around. So if this is the last you're seeing on this video, then thanks for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one. And these are very nice, fancy homes. I'm sure they love my big, ugly van. Being parked right here. There we go. All right, see you guys. If you like to follow along with the rest of our adventures, make sure to subscribe. And to make sure you don't miss out on any other videos, click the notification bell as well.